Irish Sunsport wants to mark 10 years since Darren Sutherland's passing. Today we're joined by his Beijing 2008 Olympic teammates Kenneth Egan and Nevin to discuss his career, along with their former Ireland international teammate Eric Donovan and Darren's coach at St Saviour's, Jimmy Halpin, where we'll discuss Darren's legacy and some of the memories from in the ring. This is part one. Jimmy, you've obviously got a lot of memories of Darren as a young man and a young fighter.
Yeah, terrific talent. When he walked into the gym the first night, I didn't know him from Adam because he was coming back over from England, and he just said to me, I was in doing pads with one or two of the lads, and he says, any chance of doing pads with me? He says, I'm joining this club now. So I just said to John McCormick after, I said, geez, this kid is something else. I said, he's a bit special. I said, he seems to have all the offensive, defensive moves and good puncher and all. I was delighted with him at the time, you know. Yeah. Great to work with him.
He was 16 at the time, 17 maybe, was he?
No, he was a little bit older than that. Yeah, I'd say he was about 18.
Okay, yeah, I actually went over to him.
Yeah,
16.
He was a late bloomer, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, yeah. But terrific talent, and it's great. I was delighted to have him on board then.
Yeah, suddenly you've got yourself a potential elite champion. And lads, you were in high performance at the time and Darren came in. What were your first impressions of him when he joined?
Well, I'd been there right from the start of the high performance. You know, was set up back in 2003. So to see someone coming in that was on the older side, would we say, he was a mature student, if you like. He came in and he was a real pro style about him. You know, Jimmy, great jab, and just a perfectionist. That's what I've always looked up to him in that sense, because he always done everything by the book. His weight and all, how he maintained it and how he kept it. You know, he was a perfectionist, and even in his training, he was the first man on, last man out, and he was always pushing it to the limit and trying to spar. Me and Darren had some fantastic spars, killed each other.
He would have made you grow.
Lo and behold, he was a weight below me, and he'd be pushing me to the limit.
Yeah.
So that was saying an awful lot about him.
Yeah.
Staying at middleweight and dominating the middleweight field.
Do you remember any of the bangs he got off, and did he ever put you on?
He had a fantastic jab, and once you got the timing of the jab right, the spar would kind of even itself out. But it was hard to do that, It took a lot of concentration, because it was different speed jab, there was different power in it. And he'd always have you thinking about it all the time, But
that's what I was thinking with you. He would have brought you to a whole new level, because you didn't have, even though you weren't in the same weight category.
That challenge, yeah.
But every spar, he would have, because Darren was the constant professional, the constant pro in everything he did. And you knew that Darren was always going to turn up at the gym in shape, 100%, mentally,
always
physically, and sometimes we were a bit hit and miss. You might have, a bit of downtime after a major championships or a tournament. Darren never had downtime.
He was always on his game.
Yeah, even after, when we were told, right, you have 3 weeks off, lads, after we come back from a multi-nations or whatever.
We'd take the
3
weeks.
We'd be eating pizza, whatever, we'd be pigging out or whatever. Darren was back in Saviour's at the time, back in the gym, always, he's the constant professional. So
Darren would not have been as good as he was without him.
Yeah.
He was exceptional for him. His technical ability was brilliant, and what he made Darren very aware of working with southpaws and stuff like that. We were talking about Darren O'Neill as well, which was, he was more a power puncher. But when the three of them were together, it was just a coach's dream to see them in the ring, offensive, defensive, the range, their selection, their shot selection, everything was top class. It was world class, because they were three world class fighters. They were terrific, and that's when it was just a joy to be a part of that setup at that time,
And lads, do you remember speaking to Darren about his hopes and dreams from his boxing career? Because for some people it's to go to the Olympics, but Darren left Ireland early to go to Sheffield to become a pro, and came back and joined Jimmy's. So he wanted to become
when I first came on the team, I think he put me in the room with him. I was a new kid on the team, I didn't know what I was getting into. But I remember coming to Billy. Where was that? That was the training camp before, where was it, Mascara, the Olympic qualifiers. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. The next day I come knocking at Billy's room. I said, Billy, what's happening here? And he'd always get up and eat his porridge at 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning. I heard this shadowboxing going on in the back room. I said, what's going on here? So boys all laughing. The next day I come home to Billy. I said, Billy, what's happening? John Joe. there's no one else on the team that'll share a room with him. You're there. But I had to put up with it. Like he eased it down, and he did the things that I couldn't hear them anymore. He'd go outside the room, whatever, bring his porridge out, eat his porridge, eat from outside the door, come back
Give
in.
you a bit more peace.
Yeah, but again, he always looked after me as well. You know, me being young on the team, I was only a youngster, 18. He looked after me, brought me through, and always saw me right and things, you know.
Yeah.
But his dream to me was never about the Olympics. It was always to be world champion in professional. It was all about the professional. Even before the Olympics, all he was worried about was turning pro right after the Olympics, you know.
Yeah.
But as you say there, John Joe, he seemed to always live up in his head. He was always needed to be doing something.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
could never relax and just be content.
I remember when we got the Piscara
Challenge
for the
all the time.
we got the Piscara for the qualifiers, and Billy had the talk before the weigh-in or the draw that if you want to speak at any time, come day or night, knock on my room, bring me away. He knocks at Billy's door at 3 in the morning. Can I have a talk?
Billy said it's the worst thing he ever said to him.
No, but he never. I suppose like one thing about Darren, he never made any apologies for his. He was hyperactive in a way. He was, but like I say, he didn't. He tried to disguise it or anything. He was who he was, and he was straight up and honest. You know, he'd say stuff like, you know what I mean, that like, you know, this is what I need to do. This helps me. Like sometimes when he was getting up early in the morning, this was his ritual. You know what I mean? This is what he did time and time again. I remember sitting down and having a deep kind of philosophical conversation with him one time about his career and about his time in Sheffield and with the Ingles and stuff like that. And he just felt, it almost like he had a eureka moment himself, and he realised, I'm a bit too young for this. I need to go back. I need to mature a little bit. Yeah. I need to go back and I need to maybe earn my stripes or develop into a man more so as an amateur, and then go on back into the professional game. So even to have that kind of foresight from an early age to make that decision to come back, and it was a brilliant decision in the end, because he came back and he came into a professional unit. Like I said, he came into
Gary Keegan, his first amateur coach, was running the high performance as well. So
Yeah, that's true.
But he kind of came into a professional system. We were already a part of a professional system, the high performance system, but Darren was showing us how to be professional. He was coming in with his own dietary supplements and his own, he had his own little kind of his lunch box, and he'd have his salads and
that all made out for the day. His day planned before it even started.
He was meticulous.
Yeah,
it
was unbelievable.
But he was meticulous. He really was.
Like, let's put it this way. Like, I really like boxing. I loved the high performance. And I loved training. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But Darren, that was everything to him.
Yeah.
You know, now as you mentioned earlier, he came back over from England, and fair play to him, back into the educational system and got his leaving cert and went to college. That's an amazing thing to do at that age.
Yeah.
But he just lived boxing. I mean, down to the last final detail.
Yeah.
Where
First
it's fair to say we enjoyed it. We
enjoyed other things as well.
Yeah, we liked having the crack as well.
But not to that extreme.
But you often heard him say first in the gym, last leaving. He was always that sort, wasn't
Because
it?
that's a cliche often, isn't it? It's not necessarily true with Darren.
Yeah.
I presume it was true.
Because he was living the life of a boxer outside of the gym.
Do we know more now about people like that? Maybe since Darren passed away, and just since people are talking more, do we know more about that kind of obsessive nearly nature of someone? Would you know what to say to someone in that situation a little bit more?
That's a good
Add
question.
something else, or
I've been asked this before, but like in Darren's case, you know, I've been around the world a few times. Now, you obviously know more than I would, but I never noticed anything that would have caused him to go the way it went.
No,
I never recognised that.
I thought it was just drive in him. You know, that kind of wanting that kind of success that he wanted it at all costs. But he wore his heart on his sleeve, where other boxers probably felt the same as he felt, but yet never expressed it and spoke openly about it the way he did. The way he people always say he's a bit insecure. He's this and he's that. He's always questioning himself and always questioning and asking, looking for reassurances. But I think that kind of thing is in everybody. It's in every great athlete and every great fighter. That sort of insecurity, because the fear of losing, is greater than the joy of winning. They'll say to you, but because when you're at that level, what the intensity that you put on out there, that kind of drive is driving you on to win. Like you don't train like that and then think about a defeat, because you're pushing yourself to the limits all the time, and that's what he was doing.
Yeah.
But he was open about it, wasn't he?
And when you looking back, we can say about hindsight and everything, but Darren's behaviour, Darren's actions, Darren's, I would say, personality was never problematic, ever.
Yeah.
So there was never a reason to intervene in any way. And
He was a role model more than actually
a role
somebody,
model. Actually, on the contrary, he would be the type of person that you would think would be mature enough to ask for a bit of assistance or a bit of help if he needed it. He'd be the first person that you would think, oh well, there's a man that's very mature. There's a man that would, if he really needs to have a deep, meaningful conversation about some weaknesses that he has or some areas that he needs improvement on, he would open out, and you know, because that's the kind of person he was. And
he
looking
didn't
back,
suffer in silence. If he had something on his mind, he would say it.
oh no, I remember
And he'd
speaking.
also help young lads like John Joe and Tommy McCarthy spoke about it as well. How he put him under his wing, treated him like a brother, and said, you know, you're coming up, and I'm bringing you up with me. So
But I think the expectations he put on himself really weighed him down, you know, because when he went pro, went to England, and he was on his own over there a lot of the time, and the pressure he was put under to achieve and to do something special, because everyone thought, this is a world champion we have here.
Yeah.
But again, Kevin, as we spoke about earlier, before Milan, that time when we went away, he came back from England, came into the gym to us, and he was telling us, you don't know how lucky you are, you're strength conditioning here, you remember all that?
Nutritionists, you have dietitians, you have psychologists, you have everything.
Yeah, that's when I started questioning then, was he happy about going pro? Did he make a wrong move or whatever, the way he was speaking?
before we talk about what happened at the end with Darren and what's come afterwards as well as legacy, so the 2008 Olympics is a huge point for Irish boxing. Obviously at 2004, Andy Lee had been the only member of the team to go to the Olympics. The middleweight route was barred for Darren Sutherland at the time because he'd lost to John Duddy before that. Then Andy Lee had the spot, but after that himself and Darren O'Neill fought it out, and then Darren Sutherland in time for 2008 was the number one. You went to that Olympics, it was your first Olympic Games, so you've been there in 2004 to help Andy, is that right? And Eric, you didn't make it there, and John Joe, you were the bolter, 18, and you somehow qualified. You were all in the squad at the time together. What was the feeling in Irish boxing before you went to those Olympics and took away those medals, and kind of changed everything really for...
I remember I qualified with Darren in Athens. Two of us qualified the last qualifier.
And Joyce as well.
And Joyce as well, but it was just the icing on the cake that we had made it, you know, because we had the same aspirations as far as in the amateur code. The two of us wanted to be Olympians. The three of us wanted to be Olympians, but we said with Darren when we qualified, you know, big hug. We were really happy that we made it, because we were the two oldest on the team, and the young lads had qualified. Himself and Paddy Barnes were already there, so we needed to try and get it across the line, and we did, thank God, and we qualified. But that was the start of the journey then, and I remember going to the training camp before the games in Russia. Vladivostok, yeah. It was a hard camp now. But I remember Darren sparring Korobov over there in the training camp, and that's on video and stuff, but he was just brilliant. This is the same guy that knocked him out a year or two previous in a multinational.
I remember that sparring, destroyed him.
And I could see it before my own eyes, the maturity that Darren had displayed over those couple of rounds of sparring. And it was like, this guy he's improving all the time, he's learning.
They were shocked themselves, Kenny.
They were, yeah. The improvement, and off he went into the games in super shape, really believing that he could go out there and medal, you know. But just in the games itself, he got caught up in the whole thing. Like, you want to get photos with Nadal and all these boys running around getting photos, because that's the type of guy he was. But you know, winning the medals, fantastic, and to be part of that team, because we hadn't done that in so long. 1992 was the last hurrah we had, you know. So, and to be part of that team and do as well as we did was just a fantastic time to be an amateur boxer.
You were rooming with him in Beijing, is that right?
Yeah.
What was that?
No, I think it was an apartment. Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
we were all like kind of in the one apartment, though, weren't we?
Yeah. But I think you were in the room with him, though, right?
Yeah. Obviously.
Yeah.
I was stuck
Why
there
we all
again. Kenny Guy's own room again. Yeah.
You know?
How would you say that?
It went well from the start. You hit the ground running. Everybody was winning.
Yeah.
You know, you went out to the eventual champion. John Joyce went out to the eventual champion.
Well, the funny thing is, they all went out to the...
Everyone went out to
five.
Yeah.
I remember going to my bed after after beating Tony Jeffries in the semis, and I was in the bed then the night before my fight. I was done a bit of training to make the way into the bed, and he'd been beaten by De Gale.
Yeah.
And he came in, he stuck his head in the window, or in the door. He said, "Right, Kenneth, best of luck tomorrow." You know, big smile on his face. And I went to bed as the happiest man in the world, because I said, what's the worst that can happen? I can walk away with a silver, but You know, he was delighted he had his medal, and
Yeah.
I still had one to go. But
Did he leave a gold medal behind him in Beijing? Did he ease up after he secured the bronze? Because he had a couple of victories over the Gale, or was it just? Just fine?
I think it's,
I don't know whether the tactics were right. He seemed to make himself smaller, like in his attacks, whereas I thought he applied the same tactics that he had used in the semi-finals.
Yeah.
So that he was looking to get in close and all that. But
I think the
I
performance
think
against
if
Blanco.
he'd have boxed,
Remember, he watched on
Venezuela.
Blanco.
yeah,
Brilliant. And
Oh,
he had
he's
beaten Darren in Chicago.
yeah, he beat them, in Chicago.
And
Yeah.
to put him away the way he did, like
Yeah.
Darren was just unbelievable.
You think
Yeah.
he might have peaked there with that
Maybe,
performance?
yeah.
I thought we were
But
watching a gold medalist.
But
That's what I thought. Yeah,
Yeah.
after beating him, like
Yeah.
now you can beat the guy and now we're laughing.
I
he's
always,
fine.
I always look at it
You
from
know.
the point of view that Darren beat the Gale more times, and when you lose to a person multiple times, you learn. The Gale learned more from those fights
Yeah.
than Darren did, because Darren was beating him. The Gale was learning more from every loss, and then he got his tactics spot on. When you talk about it, all boils down to tactics in the end.
of course,
Darren didn't get his tactics right. The Gale got his tactics spot
It's
on.
all on
Yeah.
the day.
And amateur boxing, the Gale took a lead. It's very hard.
Look
to
at the
decide.
guy though. He
Because
did
he was
box brilliantly
class.
in those
He did,
games.
he did.
Beat the Kazakh
Yeah.
Olympic champion, and you know.
He beat Karabov too,
Very
was it?
good.
Oh no, the Kazakh beat Karabov.
Kazakh, yeah,
And then
the
the
Kazakh.
yeah.
So he was shut up in those
I
games.
think Darren went out to fight the game rather than boxing in that.
Because
in
he
that particular
because he was
contest.
going pro as well, he wanted to show his pro style and
Yeah,
things
I
as well.
think
He was
so.
all
Yeah,
about,
because
he,
he was all.
knew right after the Olympics he was going to go
Yeah.
pro.
Yeah.
You know, and he was trying
Oh,
to show
like-
these promoters like, I'm going to walk him down.
Like I was surprised that maybe I don't know who's to blame, but at the same time I just said, get behind that brilliant champion.
Yeah,
get
he's
behind
one of
him.
the best
Open up,
jabs, yeah.
get close, then get your range, get your feet in, and then bring a big backhand into play. You know,
Yeah.
I just thought he should have boxed.
Of
the
all,
game.
of all the high performance graduates who've gone pro in the last 10 years, and there's been a hell of a lot, including the 2 years, two of you guys as well. Of all of them, Darren probably looked the most primed, the most ready, the most pro
He was
style.
more mature. He knew what he had that style always.
He had always.
He always had
had
that
a career.
style.
Yeah.
You know, some people have to adopt to it and things like Samaritans and me and that, because we're boxers and we're always kind of you know, fit all these fainting things. The more European amateur
Yeah,
style.
yeah.
He had it. He was the pro style.
It tires you out, and you see a lot of
Yeah.
Irish boxers that struggle maybe with the distances as well.
I'll be honest, I don't think I have been more excited about any other Irish boxer turning over to the professional ranks. I used to love when his fight nights were on. I used to love getting home to sit down and watch him. Honestly, I definitely thought he was going to be a superstar. And he was in the glamour division as well, the middleweight division.
And he looked the part as well, didn't he?
You know, he looked the part, he talked the talk, walked the walk, he was everything. And it really was like, you know what I mean, like when the sad tragic news came out, it really was a shocking, it's just completely, I was numb when I heard, like, what?
By that stage he was 4-0. Since he'd moved to England and he was a bit isolated, obviously it emerged at the end. And had you guys been in contact with him in the year before? Or was he the sort of guy to cut himself off and concentrate on training? And I suppose it's the days before, as much social media and WhatsApp and stuff, you can kind of maybe cut that off. Do you remember what
I just
he was like
remember
when
him
he was
from
a pro?
popping back into the gym, and what I remember from him popping back into the gym was he would say those things that you mentioned there, John Joe, about like what he'd come back in for would be a bit of physio and stuff. And he'd ask Billy and Gary and that. He said, "All right, if I come back in." And to be fair to the lads, it was always open to Darren, even though he switched codes. He could always come back, do a bit of pads, get to see a doctor, get to see a physio. Have some grub with us if he decided to not bring his own. But so that's what I remember from him. But when he came back in, he was always what would you kind of say, an elder statesman, always giving a bit of advice to the younger ones, and you know, he was just good fun to be around. Like, you know, he was like Mott's the Flame as well. Like, people were attracted to him. You know what I mean? He definitely was that type of he was that type of a person, charisma and everything. He lit up a room. Definitely.
The unfortunate thing was after that last fight that he had, I met him about 6 weeks later, and he had a lump on his face here, and it was infected. What's that to me? I said, Jesus, what happened to you? He says, that's from the cut I got in the fight. It was like a little lump like that on his face, and he says, Maloney's at the telling me, he says, he wants me to box up in the Stadium of Light up in Sunderland. And he said, I can't box you. He says, I can't spare, I can't do anything. He was so, like, it's like a jigsaw there, there's one piece missing, and that's standing, that piece missing, He just won't. He just wouldn't try. He
We've
won't.
spoken about
He
it at
wouldn't.
Inquest that
He took.
all he had is an
Yeah.
eye injury. Why was
Yeah.
it upsetting him so
Yeah.
much? But that's not necessarily. That can be really debilitating. If it means that you can't get in a spar, you can't do
It's
your livelihood.
Yeah,
Can't work, yeah, exactly.
It's what Kenny was saying earlier about him. He was so precise in his preparation. Everything had to be
Yeah.
like in place before he'd actually take a fight or even spar. It's just that was the reason why he didn't enter the elites when Andy won his last title, because he just felt that he wasn't ready at that particular time.
How did the news filter out about what happened to Darren? Who got the first call?
Well, I don't know who got the first call, but I got a call from Jimmy Payne the next morning.
we
Next
got back
morning,
from
I got a
Milan.
call.
Billy
about
Walsh,
the World
Billy Walsh
Championships.
texted me.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
We were only home from
That's right, yeah.
Milan.
It was on the beer.
We touched down.
I think you text me. You text me the news.
I
Actually,
don't know who. But still to this day, I don't know who told me. But
I remember the text I got off you. It wasn't very clear either. Well, like I was just like, "What do you mean?" Like, so it wasn't very clear. And then text you back, and then you just told me, and I was like, "Wow, Jesus, couldn't believe it. Like, could not believe it. Like, it really was like devastating.
Massive
Like,
shock.
it's one of those things that you just like, you're stopped in your tracks. You're like, what? No way. Because like I know a little bit about mental health and well-being and we've studied counselling and stuff like that as well, and I've been through my own struggles too. So there's a lot of things that you would kind of say like that would be indicating factors. One would be alcohol or drugs abuse, gambling addictions, maybe depression, disconnect, a relationship breakdown, family breakup, all these traumatic things and incidents that might be a reason for someone, finding themselves in a very, very dire situation. But there was not, apart from his professional career, there wasn't anything outside of that. His life seemed to be good. I believe, financially he was in a good place, I think, you know what I mean? His record was impeccable. Yeah. He was an Olympic hero. Yeah. He was an Irish boxing hero. He was a legend. He was, like, everything was set up for him to be,
no scandal, no.
There was no clear indications that this guy's in a bit of trouble here. Yeah. Apart from what was going on in his, we can only begin to imagine what was going on in his small professional circle.
What Eric's saying there is bang on, but that's from us looking in on him.
Yeah.
What's going on the outside, what's going on from him looking out, you know what I mean? In that apartment in London, or wherever he was, on his own, training twice a day. What else was he doing? Who was he socialising with? What kind of circuit was he in? Was he isolating himself and just being in his own head for too long?
He hadn't got many friends over there.
That's tough,
This is why he probably misused on a daily basis. Like
he always needed someone around him, though, didn't he? He was that type of person.
He used to give him a lot of stick over his accent and that, because he was Caribbean, English and Irish. That's how he's been.
That was one thing that a lot of people used to say to me. Where's Darren Sutherland from?
Is he American?
Where is he from? Like, and I don't get his accent at all. Like, he's just one of those accents that's just.
He had one of them.
It's a bit of everything, But
was he funny? Was he a joker? Or
he was a character. He was so funny that he did not even try. He didn't try to be the comedic, you know what I mean, or whatever, he was. We used to get a good laugh off him, and to be fair, he took it in good jest as well, he wasn't one of these guys that would but it's a well-known kind of, it's a well-known secret or whatever. Darren was a bit tight with his few bob and that, you know what I mean? He just did not like spending money. We were in Germany training camp in, what was the name of that, Helm or something? Hennef training camp. Yeah. And we went into Heidelberg, where your brother's from. We'd about half an hour walk to the tram into Heidelberg, where Ken's brother was living. And when we got to the tram, this is on our day off, and we said, lads, we need to get out of this training camp. We walked for a half an hour to get to the tram. When we got to the tram, we realised it was 10 euros to get the tram into Heidelberg. Darren turned back. You're alright. I'm going back here. You're alright. Well, you know what I mean? Come on.
He was in the airport coming home from Russia one time, and he allowed that currency with him.
Rubles.
And he wanted to buy something to the shop, so he went up to Orla Sampson, who was the physio at the time. Orla, have any change? I want to buy myself a packet of mints or whatever. And Orla said, "You're not got any money." And he pulls out, I don't know what it was, a big handful of rubles, And he said, no, all I have is this. And she points over to the board of exchange. We're going to change it. Oh no, I'll leave it. You wanted to change it at home. You're thinking you get more for it. That type of way. She was always really extra few euro back in the Dublin. She probably wouldn't take it off at all when he was home, you know. He left a lot of room in his house.
Ben used to tell a joke that if Darren dropped the euro out of his pocket, they would hit him on the back of the head.
To pick it up, yeah.
Before he went to pick it up.
He was open in that. He didn't want to waste money. He didn't buy stuff that he didn't need. You know, always very, very smart with his money and
I was
how he spent it. Yeah.
No, but that's it. Well, like he'd be the type of person that you would say, like, Jesus, Darren will show you how to live. You know, like it was a lesson to the rest of us. Like, you know what I mean? Like that. Like he don't need. Like, you know, he bought what he absolutely needed, and that was it. Yeah. There was no, you know, outside of that.
He always said he wanted to try and get a sponsorship from, what was that? It was a porridge crowd. What do you call it?
Flavins.
Yeah, because he had so much of it.
Yeah.
He was always pushing for a sponsorship of Flavins. Yeah.
His legacy, in terms of what lives on after Darren, like he's one of the first high-profile Irish sports people to have maybe succumbed to mental health issues, but also it created a lot of awareness, and that sort of conversation is rife in Ireland at the minute, and people are less afraid to talk and less afraid to express themselves if they've got issues on their minds, particularly in elite sport. But also, I suppose, in terms of professional boxing, you look at all the champions who've come since, and who would he have bet? John Joe, like he James DeGale, you've been a training partner, James DeGale, over in England. And,
look what James DeGale has done as a professional. He's won numerous world titles.
Yeah.
And I think Darren would have had his number as a professional, you know.
Yeah. Over the 12 rounds, yeah.
God willing, he'd stay injury free and things and all that. And progressing.
He had the DS on his short, so maybe in some way.
Again, there was a lot of respect there, and there still is. You know, again, Chunky wears the DS as a mark of respect for Darren. Yeah. You know, outside of the ring, like in the boxing ring, they're going to go to war and they're going to try to take the head off each other. Yeah. Outside of the ring, they were very good, like friends. And when they meet at training camps and this and that, they were always there. Like they were always speaking and friendly to each other. Where other Irish and English boxers mightn't be, but you'd always see them two together and sharing a joke and a laugh and things.
You know, in some ways, James DeGale has said it himself that Darren Sutherland made him an Olympic champion, made him a better boxer. You know what I mean? In every single way. So I think the fact that he paid tribute to Darren with the initials on his shorts now was a class thing to do. But it was also a reminder to James DeGale, that this man made me become a better boxer.
James actually said that to me. That when he knew that he had bottle and about himself now, speaking about himself, when he had bottle and he knew he could, when it came down to the last end, that he could hang tight for a fight, was in Pescara, when he was so much points in front of Darren. Darren brought back 21-20. It was like 20 points to 7 up or something, and it came down to 1 point right at the end of the bell, and he got the point to win it. He said that's when I knew that I had it. Like I took a beating for that last round, the very last round, and he lands that one punch. But he said Darren hit me with everything. When I got out of that ring, I was broke up. Like after that, I could feel the pain. He was so big of a hitter.
Yeah, like you look at the best super middleweights of the past decade. Your Froch, Groves, Kessler, Andre Ward to an extent. How competitive would Darren have been in with those guys if he had fulfilled his potential?
See, when we're talking about the Gale and we're talking about Darren, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind, because I honestly, my belief is one of the hardest things to achieve in sport is to win an amateur fight, an amateur boxing contest. You've only 3 rounds to do that. You lose the first round, you have 2 rounds, and that's it. Whereas Darren would have got better as the rounds went on.
Yes, fantastic engine on him.
You know, so it's unbelievable pressure, them three rounds. So what they have achieved, these guys here, what they have achieved in the sport is unbelievable. You know, class fighters. But what I'm saying, I think Darren was suited to the program. That's why him going into 5, 6 rounds, 8 rounds, he just would have got better and better and better. Like he would have blown the Gale out of it. Like I think he probably would have even knocked him out. Come around 5th, 6th, 7 rounds and all that kind of way. And that's how you can see how well even the pro game worked for Katie. You know, like the amateur, where she got to a certain stage where she lost 1 or 2, fights that she wouldn't have lost maybe 5 or 6 years earlier. But then as soon as she hit the 6-round fights, you could afford to lose 2 to 3 rounds and still win the fight. Like, it was a brilliant move by Katie to actually go pro, because she's at achieving so much, because she has that extra bit of time in the ring to bring it to the front.
There's more pressure on you as an amateur, because if you lose that first round, you're under
massive pressure. You know, the fight's gone.
And Ken, I know particularly in the pros, you keep an eye on the light heavyweights and the super middleweights like a lot, and probably more than other weights. Do you think Darren would have been a
He would have mixed it with the best in the world, of course he would have. And because of the style that he had before he even stepped into a pro ring, you know, that was an advantage to him. So I'd imagine if he got the right trainer and the right coach, he could have, you know, I suppose gelled well with someone. He could have brought him right to the
Exactly.
top of the pecking order, definitely.
Yeah. I suppose I didn't ask about his legacy in 10 years on from what happened. Like, I suppose the shock subsides and you miss him at that stage. But do you think about lessons from what happened or anything like that? Or?
I mean, you miss the guy. You know, it's just he's one of the people that I don't think you'll ever forget, because he just had that kind of charisma, you know, personality. He's a terrific guy. Like, as we spoke earlier before we started about the Gale on his debut, you know, and him getting booed by his own English fans in Wolverhampton, and he turned around and said, "Isn't it terrible the way these people are booing their own Olympic gold medalist?" You know, but that's the kind of guy he was. That's like, he felt for the Gale. You know, and even though the Gale at that time,
they were
like,
friends at the time.
he'd no time for that and then, because why? He was a competitor. You know.
Sandra?
Again, you know, Darren was always a good guy. As I said, he was too nice for his own good sometimes, wasn't he? You know, he was still in the competition. He'd be worried about other boxers as well. You know, I remember I got beaten one in the competition at multinational. He was still in it, and he was fighting the next day. And he'd come in and he'd be, you know, I was devastated losing, because I was only a youngster, and you know, if I lost a fight, it was like the end of the world for me. But he'd come in and he'd sit you down instead of focus on his own fight the next day. He'd be in there. He's one of these lads that he was always there for other boxers as well.
Yeah, I think he'll always be remembered. I'll never forget him anyway. I've never met anybody like him. I've never known anybody like him. He was a true, how would you say, a unique individual. You know, one of a kind, but definitely could have went all the way. I think it also puts into kind of perspective how important it is to look after our well-being, you know, and our mental health. It's, you know, we can be surrounded by so many people, hundreds and thousands of people on this social media, and we live in this kind of big bubble, but it's really important to have a few real people in your life, a few real people that you can talk to openly and honestly about whatever's going on in your life, whether it's relationship issues or money issues or whatever, family issues. You need to have a support unit, everybody, and you've got to have it. Doesn't matter how many it is, 2 or 3 or 4, whatever, just that support unit, and keep that close. And that is the most important thing that you need in life going forward, is that support unit, not the hundreds of thousands of followers in social media, not that all that recognition, and you know, even though that goes hand in hand, but when you talk about, is there lessons? Yes, massive lessons in it for us all to know that we need to look after ourselves.
Kenneth, last word?
Yeah, like he'll always be missed, you know, because I shared something unique and special with him, you know, being at those Olympic Games in 2008. But mental health doesn't discriminate, you know. Looking from the outside in at Darren, the world was his oyster, potential world champion in the pro game, had it all there ready to go for him. But you know, if you don't have peace of mind, you're not content in your own skin. That's when you need to seek help, you know. And the stigma, it's still there, you know. There is still a stigma around mental health, but I think it is getting better. The last number of years. But what happened to Darren probably should have never happened if he had sought help a bit earlier. It's an absolute tragedy that we have lost someone so talented and so unique that could have brought us many a wonderful night, I imagine, in the boxing ring. But he will be missed, and September Day, you would be thinking of an awful lot more than normal, but it's a date that'll always be in our heads, you know, going into the future.
Yeah, and spirit thought for his family as well at this time as well, you know. The ripple effect of something like that, it goes very far and wide, you know what I mean, and it's you know, your heart would really go out to them, and I hope they're all doing well at this time as well.